What is up, Duelist? Super Insane 18 here, and I've already made you guys wait long enough, so without further ado, let's jump into part 2 of my Mermail combo guide. To start off with the first combo, I do want to thank Tyler on the Mermail Facebook group because he is the one that made me aware of this. This is a combo that the winner of the Toronto Regional spoke about briefly in their deck profile, but didn't elaborate on how to do it, and that is going to be what you're supposed to do if your opponent drops Fuelos on you, because you can actually make a very, very good board without giving them any advantage. So let's show you guys how it works. We're going to leave this here to demonstrate that you have been Fuelos. All it requires is a Neptibus and any one water monster, does not matter what water monster, so we're just going to use Perulia for the example. You are going to go ahead and normal summon out your Neptibus and activate the effect. This, of course, sends the Shadow Guards from your deck to your graveyard as the cost, and allows you to add your copy of Atlantean Dragoons from your deck to your hand. That will then activate the effect of Shadow Squad to summon from deck, which is the likely point that your opponent is going to drop Fuelos, so you are going to be able to go ahead and summon out your copy of Abyss Pike. This gives them one draw. You can use the effect of Abyss Pike on summon, getting rid of your Dragoons for cost, which will allow you to add any level 3. You're going to go ahead and add the copy of the Abyss Rhine, and then the Dragoons is going to go ahead and activate and add you your copy of Mullen Glacier. Here what we can do is we can go ahead and use the effect of the Abyss Rhine, tributing itself and the Neptibus to add a level 7. We're going to go ahead and add the Ice Jade Ran Agrine, and this is important to play for this combo. You guys will see it in a little bit, but of course that's going to then activate the graveyard effect of the Neptibus to allow you to summon back, and this is where your line will slightly change. You can either summon back the Abyss Squad if you want to go for like the Abyss Gaios in the end phase, or you will summon back your Atlantean Dragoons if you want to go for Dweller. We're going to go ahead and put both here, just for the sake of showing you guys that the combo line does branch. Hopefully you can understand that. But now here what you are going to do is you are going to go ahead and use the effect of the Ice Jade to discard any water, so that's where the water comes in, and that is going to allow you to then summon a token. You can take the Ice Jade and the token and synchro those off into your copy of the Ice Jade Gamir Ageron, and that's actually going to leave 5 waters in your grave. We only have 4, but remember, one of these is going to be in your graveyard. That means that here we can go ahead and then summon out the Mullen Glacier, ripping 2 cards out of our opponent's hand. So they've gotten 2 draws. They've gotten 2 cards ripped, so they are now down to 4 cards in their hand, meaning that they are technically -1 off of the Fuelos. But now we have to do one more thing before we end our combo. If you go the route of the Dragoons, you just go ahead and overlay both into your copy of Abyss Dweller. And now with the Abyss Dweller plus the Ageron, they probably can't play because if you're up against something like Fire King, Mermail, U-Bell, Snake Eye, Dweller really does shut down their combos. But alternatively, what you can do is if you went the route of the Shadow Squad, you go ahead and just discard any card, doesn't matter what it is, modulate your field to level 7, and then you can go ahead and overlay with the now level 7 Mullen Glacier into your copy of Abyss Gaios. So this will be good into something like Tenpai, because this means that no Tenpai monsters can attack, so you pretty much just win the game on the spot. And they only have 5 cards in their hand. -1 off the Fuelos puts them at 4. +1 off of the Summon of Pike puts them back at 5. +1 for the Ageron summon puts them at 6. Rip 2 out with the Mullen Glacier puts them at 4, and the Gaios or the Dweller puts them back at 5, meaning that they've gained no advantage and you've created a very formidable board for them to have to deal with. And as long as we are talking about playing through interactions for combo number 2, we are going to show you what to do if your Neptibus is met with an infinite impermanence. Now, keep in mind this does require 2 discards, one of which has to be a water monster. However, again, the statistical probability of that is very, very likely, and the other discard can be literally anything, so let's show you guys how it is done. We are going to once again start with the normal summon of our Neptibus and activating the effect of Neptibus. We will send the Shadow Squad from our deck to the graveyard as cost. This is where our opponent would activate the infinite impermanence, targeting the Neptibus, meaning that Neptibus will not get an additional add. However, because the Shadow Squad was sent in a new chain, we can go ahead and activate its effect, allowing us to special summon out the copy of Abyss Pike from our deck. This will then activate the effect of the Abyss Pike, discarding our additional water discard, and that is going to allow us to add a level 3. In this instance, it will go ahead and be a Abyss Rhine. Here we can use the Abyss Rhine to tribute itself alongside the Neptibus to special summon out our super ancient Deep Sea King Coelacanth, because again, it can either add or summon a level 7, and we could, in theory, activate the Neptibus here, but we're going to go ahead and forgo it because there isn't really anything that we want to summon. Now with the Coelacanth on the field, we can use its effect discarding any card to summon as many fish from our deck as possible. This is going to summon out 2 additional copies of our Abyss Pike, as well as 1 copy of our Armored Shark. Now the Armored Shark's effect is negated, so we will have to bring it back if we want to use it, which we do, but we have some steps to do beforehand. First, we're going to go ahead and take one of the Abyss Pikes, overlay it with another Abyss Pike into our copy of Bahamut Shark, and then using the Bahamut Shark, we can detach one of the pikes, allowing us to special summon out one of our Totally Awesomes. Now we can go ahead and take the Armored Shark and the Coelacanth, linking them away into the copy of Coral Anemone, and placement is very important here. The reason we put the Coelacanth in the extra monster zone is because now we are going to be linking into the Coral Anemone with it, meaning that an enemy will have an open zone, which is very important. Using the effect of the Coral Anemone, we can go ahead and reborn out our copy of Armored Shark, and then Armored Shark's effect is now live. We can go ahead and use the Armored Shark, sending a rank 4, in this case it is going to be the Abyss Dweller, to allow us to resummon back out our copy of Abyss Pike. Now keep in mind, if you wanted to end on Dweller, you would just send the second Bahamut Shark here, but for this combo we are using it, so you can just kind of swap those, flip-flop them around, depending on what you want your end board to be. Here we are going to go ahead and actually take the Coral Anemone and the Bahamut Shark, almost messed that up there, and link those off into our copy of Mermail King Neptibus. The reason we're doing this is because we're going to want to have the add, which we will get here in a second. Utilizing the 2 Abyss Pikes that we have, we can go ahead and overlay them into a copy of Bahamut Shark, and then the Bahamut Shark will activate its effect, allowing us to summon out our second copy of Toad. Here what we can do then is activate the effect of the Mermail King Neptibus because a water monster was sent to activate an effect. That will of course allow us to add our copy of Abyss Sting of Triana, or Trina, however you want to pronounce that. Next what we can do is go ahead and activate the Trina, and we will summon any of our level 3s back, which are specifically the Abyss Rhine or the Shadow Squad. So we're going to go ahead and summon out the Shadow Squad. Now do note, if you have an additional discard here, you can use the Shadow Squad effect to make level 7s and go into something like Gaios, but I want some more layered interaction, so we're not going to do that. Just keep in mind it is an option, so there's a little bit of an additional combo for you guys to kind of have in the back of your heads. What we are going to do here is we are going to go ahead and overlay the Armored Shark and the Shadow Squad into our copy of Le Virtue Dragon. The Virtue Dragon will activate on summon, allowing us to add our copy of Virtue Stream. Then we can use the Virtue Dragon effect, detaching to add any of our waters back to our hand. In this case, we can go ahead and add back probably our Neptibus, just so that we have guaranteed follow-up. And then we can take the Le Virtue and the Bahamut Shark, and we can go ahead into our copy of Abyss Latia. Here we would set our copy of Virtue Stream and pass to our opponent. So we have 2 Omni Negates, we can add any Mermail for guaranteed follow-up, we have a double pop, our stuff can't be targeted, and we could, in theory, just make ourselves immune to spells as well, because in our opponent's draw phase, we could use the Latia, getting rid of any water monster, either the one we add back, or if we have an additional one, which will activate this to play the Abyss Scale Mizuchi, which would negate a spell as well. So that is what you can do through an Infinite Impermanence. For our combo number 3, I want to address a concern that you guys had in the previous video, and that was every single end board looking exactly the same, and what better way to address that than to show you guys the strongest end board, in my opinion, that this deck can make, and all you need is a copy of Abyss as well as a Shadow Squad. So let's show you guys how we do this, as well as play through something like Nibiru as well. We are going to go ahead and start things off with the Abyss, revealing it and discarding our Shadow Squad as cost to summon it to our side of the field. This will then activate both of their effects. We'll go Chainlink 1 Shadow Squad, Chainlink 2 Teus. Teus is going to go ahead and add us our copy of Pike, and the Shadow Squad is going to special summon out our copy of Neptibus. Here we will activate the effect of Neptibus, sending the Dragoons from our deck to our graveyard as cost. This will allow the Prince to add us another copy of Dragoons, and then the Dragoons is going to go ahead and add us a copy of Deep Sea Minstrel. Now we have everything we need to play through Nibiru as well. We're going to go ahead and use the effect of the Deep Sea Minstrel, discarding itself and the Dragoons to look at our opponent's hand and banish a card until the end phase. Bye-bye Nibiru. So now we can go ahead and activate the effect of the Dragoons that we sent for cost. This will add us another copy of Prince. This is important because we need a way to get the Prince graveyard effect, which we wouldn't have otherwise. we can go ahead and normal summon out our copy of Abyss Pike, utilizing its effect to get rid of the Atlantean Prince. This is of course going to allow us to add a level 3. We will add the Gund in this instance. There is actually no need for the Abyss Rhine in this combo. That of course activates the effect of the Atlantean Prince, allowing us to reborn out our copy of Dragoons. Here we can overlay the Abyss Pike and the Dragoons into our copy of Bahamut Shark, and utilizing the Bahamut Shark effect, we will detach specifically the Dragoons to summon out our copy of Totally Awesome. Now we can activate the Dragoons effect, and that happens to be the 5th water monster in our graveyard, meaning that Dragoons is going to go ahead and add us our copy of Mulling Glacia, which we can then immediately summon to rip 2 cards out of our opponent's hand. Next, what we are going to do is take the Neptibus and the Bahamut Shark, linking both of those into our copy of Coral Anemone. Make sure that it is in a zone that the zone underneath the extra monster zone is free for the Coral Anemone effect. We can then go ahead and activate the Coral Anemone effect, allowing us to go ahead and summon back out our copy of Shadow Squad. Now that we have the Shadow Squad on board, before we use its effect, we want to link the Anemone and the Abystius off into our copy of Mermail King Neptibus. This is important because we need to get that add by sending a water monster. So now we can use the effect of the Shadow Squad, sending our copy of Gund. This will level modulate the field to level 7s, and then we can activate things in chain. We can go Chainlink 1 Gund, Chainlink 2 King. King is going to go ahead and add us our copy of Trina, and Gund will be able to go ahead and special summon back out specifically our copy of Abyss Pike. Here what we can do is we can go ahead and overlay these because they are level 7 thanks to the effect of the Shadow Squad. This goes into our copy of Mermail Abyss Gaios, and then finally we can go ahead and take the Trina and utilize its effect to special summon out our copy of Dragoons, and then we can overlay the Pike plus the Dragoons into our copy of Abyss Dweller. So now this leaves us in a very good spot for our opponent's turn, because we have all of this which cannot be targeted thanks to the effect of the King. We have an Omni Negate in Totally Awesome, which also equates to guaranteed follow-up. We have Abyss Dweller to turn off all graveyard effects, and we have Gaios, which is a skill drain on legs as well as a prevention of level 5 or higher's attacking, meaning that this board wins into literally everything in the meta. Does not matter if you're against Snake Eye, Fire King, Yubel, Mermail Mirror Match, Tenpai, you have your answer for everything. Now you might be thinking, maybe you're going to lose something like Dark Ruler or whatnot, but we actually don't, because what you're seeing now is taking place during the opponent's draw phase. We will immediately activate our copy of Abyss Dweller. This is going to go ahead and detach to allow us to then turn off graveyard effects, but more importantly, activate the effect of Dragoons as well as the effect of King Neptibus. The King Neptibus is going to go ahead and activate the Mizuchi, meaning that we have a spell negate, so we do not care about Dark Ruler or Forbidden Droplets anymore, and the Dragoons is going to go ahead and add any Sea Serpent, doesn't matter what it is, and now we are just fully set to win the game. Now, for the 4th and final combo of part 2 of our Mermail guide, we are going to go ahead and revisit some Abyss Pike lines. If you remember from part 1, I showed you that Abyss Pike plus any random useless water was the absolute worst case scenario that still ended you on a very formidable board, but now we're going to show you what happens if the discard is actually something relevant. So we are going to go ahead and normal summon out the copy of Abyss Pike and utilize its effect, discarding our copy of Dragoons. This will allow us to add a level 3, in this case it is going to be the Abyss Rhine. We do get the Dragoons effect, which will add us any Sea Serpent. In this case we are going to add our Shadow Squad. Now the cool thing here is that the Abyss Rhine allows us to tribute from hand as well as field, so we can utilize the effect of the Abyss Rhine, tributing itself off with the Shadow Squad to add a level 7. In this instance it's going to be the Teus. Now we can actually activate the effect of the Shadow Squad because it was sent to activate the effect of a water monster. This allows us to special summon out the Neptibus to our side of the field. With Neptibus now on field, we can utilize its effect, sending Dragoons as cost to add any Atlantean. Of course, we are adding another copy of Dragoons, and then this Dragoons will activate, allowing us to add any Sea Serpent. We are going to go ahead and add the Minstrel. Now that we have Minstrel, we no longer have to fear Nibiru. We're going to go ahead and use the Minstrel, discarding itself and the Dragoons to look at our opponent's hand and rip one card out until the end phase. That of course also activates the effect of the Dragoons that we just sent, meaning that we get another add of specifically Neptibus. Here we can go ahead and utilize the Teus, summoning it by discarding out our Neptibus, and then we can activate Neptibus as Chainlink 1, targeting a Dragoons to summon, and Teus as Chainlink 2 to add us a Mermail. In this case it is going to be Gund. The Dragoons will be summoned off of the effect of the Prince, and now we are able to go into our first Bahamut Shark. We're going to go ahead and overlay the Dragoons and the Pike into our copy of Bahamut Shark, and utilizing Bahamut Shark, detaching specifically the Dragoons, we can summon out our copy of Totally Awesome. Dragoons will once again be able to get us a search, so Dragoons is going to go ahead and summon us, or rather search us our copy of Atlantean Heavy Infantry. Here we'll take the Bahamut Shark and we will overlay that into our copy of Xyz Armor Fortress, which we can then utilize the effect detaching either material to add us our copy of Armored Shark. We can take the Neptibus and the Xyz Armor Fortress, linking those off into our copy of Coral Anemone, and now we can use the Coral Anemone effect to reborn out specifically the copy of Shadow Squad. Here we will use the Shadow Squad, discarding specifically the Gund to level modulate our field to level 7, and then Gund will be able to activate, allowing us to special summon back out our copy of Abyss Pike. Here what we can do is we can overlay the now level 7 squad with our Teus, and go into our copy of Abyss Gaios, and subsequently overlay the Gaios into our copy of Poseidra Abyss. Linking off the Coral Anemone and the Poseidra, we can go into our copy of Mermail King Neptibus and activate the effect of Poseidra when linked to discard the Armored Shark as cost, and then summon three level 3s from our grave. We're going to go ahead and summon Armored Shark, we're going to go ahead and summon out the Shadow Squad, and then we're going to go ahead and summon out the Minstrel. Do not forget that we are able to activate the effect of the Mermail King Neptibus because we discarded a water. That will of course allow us to add our copy of Abyss Sting, and then we are good to continue overlaying our Shadow Squad and our Minstrel into our copy of Virtue Dragon. Virtue Dragon on summon is of course going to add us our copy of Virtue Stream, and then what we can do is we can actually utilize the effect of Abyss Trina to special summon back out our copy of Gaios. Now, what good is Gaios with no material? Thankfully, we can fix that. The Virtue Dragon is able to swap its material onto another face-up water Xyz, so we're going to go ahead and put specifically the Shadow Squad underneath the Gaios. Now, the last thing that we have to do is linking off the Armored Shark and the Abyss Pike into our copy of Mermail Abysslacia. We can go ahead and set our Virtue Stream and pass turn to our opponent. So where does this leave us? Obviously we have an Omni Negate, we have a Skill Drain on legs that also prevents level 5 or higher from not attacking. We have the Mermail King, which is protecting all of this. We have a Virtue Stream, which can pop the Virtue Dragon to get rid of 2 of our opponent's cards. And we have Guaranteed Follow-Up, because if we use the Gaios, we detach the squad, which of course activates the squad effect and allows us to summon from our deck, plus the add off the Lacia. It's just absolutely insane what you can actually do if that discard off the Pike is relevant. That was a doozy. Wow. Okay, so that is 4 more combos. We are up to a total of 8 combos for this part 2 of the Mermail guide. Go ahead and watch part 1 if you have not seen it, and if you want to see part 3, make sure that you are subscribed with notifications on, because that is how you will be aware of when I actually upload that. As you guys know, I am currently working on a very comprehensive spreadsheet, so we have now shown 8 out of 18 combos. So if you guys want more, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like, comment, share with your friends, because that is the best way to let me know that you guys want to continue down this Mermail journey with me. As always, don't forget to check out the channel sponsor Dueling Guard using code Insane18 or my link in the description down below. You can get 5% off your entire order, as well as help support the channel so I can continue bringing you these amazing videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.